So a while back, I had the idea to do a first impressions playlist, or just a series of videos where I just play, different games that I just picked up and give you guys, what I thought about it, considering there's many games that are about to come out. And that's what I thought I'd do right now for Metal Gear Solid 5, because I didn't actually expect to pick this up, but I was convinced by a good friend of mine, Matchface. He convinced me to pick this game up, and I can say that I was actually pretty surprised by the fact that this, to me, is a good game. I haven't actually owned a copy from this franchise, but I've played it over a friend's house. However, because of my good friend's recommendation, I did pick this game up. And I can tell you that I'm actually pretty surprised that, I got so into it so quickly, which, that's not really what I expected to happen, considering how weird Metal Gear Solid is as a franchise. It doesn't take all that long within the first few minutes of this game, none of which I'm going to spoil, by the way. But weird shit starts to happen fairly fast. I mean, it's only a couple minutes in before, this flame guy shows up. There are these cassette tapes that you can listen to sort of get a sort of brief version of what's been happening in the past 9 years that Snake has been in a coma, and just kind of get some sense as to what the factions are, what the current events are, why you start in Afghanistan. That's the first zone you start in. And it's explained to you what's going on in Afghanistan. It's just mostly just exposition that is optional, which to me is the best form of exposition. Is, do you want to listen to these cassettes, yes or no? And I think that honestly was one of the best decisions they made. What story does exist in this game, to me, is kind of interesting. I definitely think that this game does the franchise justice in that it makes it interesting enough to where, even as a person that hasn't really gotten into Metal Gear prior to this game, it makes me want to play the older games to, understand more about what's going on. Because there are characters that are introduced that don't really make any sense. There is this figure, which I'll put his picture up on the screen, who I'm referring to as Cowboy Killer Croc. Or no, actually just Cowboy Croc. Yeah, I'm referring to him as that character because I have no idea who he is. I have absolutely no idea who he is. They haven't really explained whether Cypher as an organization is headed by Cowboy Croc or is headed by the figure in red hair that I can't fucking remember his name. They haven't really explained who is together, who opposes Snake, really. Because it seems to me that figures just kind of show up and sort of cock-tease Snake. They're just like, oh yeah, I'm so bad, I'm just going to toy with you a little bit. Okay, time to go. And it's never really explained, okay, this guy is the antagonist. This guy is the person trying to kill Snake. This guy is in direct opposition to Diamond Dogs. No one actually says who these figures are. They just show up. And, maybe if you're a fan of this franchise, you're going to wag your finger at me as if I should know all this. But again, this is the first game that I've picked up and actually have followed the story in any way. So that's my only real criticism of the game thus far, is that it's very hard to follow who these figures are. They do name them, and it's my fault for forgetting their actual names, but they haven't really said what role they play. It's just they show up. And then someone says, like, oh, Snake, it's this guy. And it's just like, well, who's that? Like, I don't know who this is. But, getting away from that, because I think that that's a little bit unfair on my part as a person coming into the fifth fucking game and not knowing anything. I do want to say that the gameplay, in terms of the open world aspect of the game, I think it's really well done. Not everything about the gameplay is perfect. It actually suffers from invisible walls that you can't shoot through for whatever reason, and there's even a penetration rating for your weapons, but it's like, what does it even matter if you can't shoot through certain things for arbitrary reasons? Like, there's been a few times where I've tried to shoot through barbed wire or try to shoot through a fence, and it hits an invisible wall and the bullet doesn't go through, and then usually the person that I'm attempting to kill turns around and, alerts because the bullet just didn't pass through this invisible wall. So there are issues with this game in terms of gameplay. It's not perfect, but it is fun, which is pretty much all you can ask for. It's easy to get into. It's easy to sort of find your niche in terms of what you like to do, whether you want to be super stealth or a mixture of stealth and action, which is what I like to play. It's what I might show you in terms of the gameplay. That's really the role I like, is to have a mixture of stealth, but in the case that you fuck up, or if you just feel like, okay, I've had enough of stealth, you just throw a grenade out and you call in a support chopper and just fucking wreak havoc. And it could be really cool. There's a couple of missions that I really wish they would have done more with prisoner rescues. That to me is one of the fun aspects of the game, where you roll in, you find the prisoner, and it's like straight out of a movie. You call in the support chopper, the chopper rolls in, you grab the person, and you go flying out with the chopper like taking on everybody, and it's something straight out of a movie. It's awesome. It really is. It's one of the coolest aspects of the game, but you only get a handful of those missions. They can repeat, so it's not like you play it once and it's done forever. Maybe that's my own taste of the game. Maybe that's just the particular content that I enjoy the most. But I just think that in terms of the atmosphere of Afghanistan and you're rescuing these hostages from Russians, I just thought that was a really awesome aspect, even early on into the game, which is good. I mean, that goes to show you that there's been a lot of investment. There's been a lot of time and thought put into this game when stuff such as, these are side missions. These are not the main story missions. These are side missions that are optional, and they're fun. I genuinely enjoy them. And I think that, if you're a person that is questioning whether you should buy this game based on the notion of whether it's fun or not, I can tell you that there are choices to this game in terms of your play style. So if you prefer to play the game in whether you want to be fully lethal or fully non-lethal or a mixture, which is what I would recommend, and there's all kinds of choices, whether you want to be a player that just more or less tries to distract enemies and take them all down using tactical takedowns, or if you just want to roll in and just pop each one of them in the head with a silenced weapon and just sort of glide through like Hitman style, where you're just this fucking weapon just plowing through enemies, and you're just so fast and so quick and so deadly that they can't possibly stop you, which is an option in this game. The problem with that tactic, however, is the fact that silencers have a countdown to how many shots you can actually fire off. I forget, there's another game that I'll just throw it up on the screen. I forget the name of it, but it had that same style of, you can make silencers, and silencers really help you, but you can only get so many of them. And I found that as I played the game, where you could find silencers before, where you could pick them up and then put them back on your weapons in like outposts and in different barracks and stuff like that, it seems to me that like 10 hours into the game that stops, that those silencers stop showing up, that you actually have to call in a support drop. But to me, that's fine. It seems to me that it's just kind of a curve that the game tries to help you out a little bit as you're, just starting out, because it can be intimidating when you're coming up to a base with like, 16, 20 guards, and you're sitting there with the starting weapons. You're like, holy shit, how am I supposed to take this on? It seems to me that the game tries to ease you in a little bit, but I think it's really well done in terms of the play style of the game, in terms of what they try to tell you starting off, like how to play and what to do. It's not that hard to pick it up, which is what you should want. That should be how the game should play out if it's trying to be open to a player such as myself that isn't familiar with this franchise. One of the aspects of the game that I think is worth mentioning is the fact that you can both build a base, and it's not just the standard like R&D, develop weapons, medical, which basically serves little purpose other than the fact soldiers at your base get into fights and have to go to the med bay or whatever. But one of the aspects that I do like is the sort of clandestine forces that you can send out to do missions while you yourself are doing missions or just chilling at Mother Base. But a cool aspect to that, you can choose any one of the soldiers that you recruit or prisoners that you free and join your operation. You can pick them and you can play as them in the game, which was an aspect of the game that I had no idea about until I unlocked that ability in the game and just said, okay then, I don't have to always play as Snake. I can actually play as another character. It's pretty amazing to me that I haven't seen any coverage of this, when really this is in many ways an aspect of customization to the game. If you don't feel like playing, Big Boss, you can play anybody. You can play any character that you come across and happen to put in your offensive forces. You can play them in the game, which is a cool aspect. It's actually worthwhile to just play around and look for someone to put in. I'm not really sure if the stats matter at all. I know they do if you put them in intelligence or medical or R&D or whatever. You can put them in anything else and their stats actually do matter. But I'm not really sure if you play them as an avatar, that even if they have, all poor stats in every category, I don't know if it even matters. I tried it out once, and it didn't really seem to make much of a difference. It seemed to be that it was just the same person, but another skin. And it was, interesting to play. It was pretty amusing to fly someone in that was not Snake and to fuck around in the game. I've noticed that I'm running out of time here, so I'll try to get to this. Last thing I want to say before I go is I was on my way through a particular spot on the map, making my way to another part to do a mission, and all of a sudden it went to a cutscene, and I was like, whoa, what's going on? Why am I in a cutscene? And then all of a sudden you see a glint of a sniper rifle, and then a bullet just ricochets right in front of Snake, and I'm like, holy shit! Holy shit, it's quiet. Oh fuck. It's funny too because all the Russians, if you listen to their conversations, they start to talk about quiet and they're all fucking scared of her. Even though they frequently mention the fact that they want to sleep with her. That sort of banter. It's pretty funny. They talk about how crazy she is and how they never find her. It's just bodies and shit like that. So they make her out to be like this insane ghost that is just roaming the fucking desert, killing people. So they play her up really big. And then there's also a few hints that are dropped to say that she's now aware of Snake's presence in Afghanistan, and she just fucking shows up. And it's crazy to fight her. And I'll tell you right now that there is this isn't a spoiler. The starting sniper rifle that you unlock in the game, there is another tier of it. I believe it's the second tier, and you can get a trank rifle. It's the same rifle, but instead you switch to trank ammunition. Get that. Get that. You don't have to have it on you at all time, but have it there. Because what I needed to do was I had to fucking have that supply dropped in to win that fucking fight. Because I knew the minute she showed up and she shoot me from fucking a mile away, and I got nothing but a pistol and an assault rifle, of which I'm not wasting that on this chick that's miles out with a sniper rifle who just picks you off in a fucking second. So I'm just saying that when you are getting into Afghanistan, once you've done most of the main quests and you've unlocked a lot of the side quests, make sure you have that sniper rifle handy to call in when she does show up. Otherwise, you're going to fucking regret it. Smoke grenades, that works well, and that trank rifle took her right out. It took about, I think, 3 shots to take her out. And this is not coming from a fan, okay? This is coming from someone that hasn't played this franchise before. So this is the end of this First Impressions video. For those of you that are big fans of this franchise, you can tell me what you think of this. For those of you that are questioning whether you should buy this game, I would say that if you like third-person shooters, if you like games that are open worlds, pick it up. I really think that this is a good game, and it would be worth your time to play it. But thanks for listening.